Well, I didn't think about the whole temple thing. Now that you kind of brought that up earlier, I was thinking, well, maybe that is his ultimate goal, is not really necessarily to destroy all the Jedi, it's to find that temple and maybe start something up himself. But he just seems like a petulant little kid right now, like a little whiny brat. It's like,
yeah, I think he pulls off the lost child or lost, 20-something-year-old or 30-something-year-old, where Anakin fails miserably in the prequels.
Yeah, he does pull it off a little bit better.
Because he has this, like when he has his mask on, he has this, like, awesome, like, monotone, like, very chilling, like, no emotional delivery to his lines when he has the mask on,
Yeah.
Like, even in the beginning of the movie, when I forget Max von Sandow's character was like, only you've, like, discovered the dark side, or now you are part of the dark side, and Ren turns around, he's like, I will show you the dark side, but he says it, like, so monotone that
it's creepy.
And then when he takes the mask off, well, actually, that's a little bit too far ahead, but even when he takes the mask off, he shows he's completely different. His tone is different.
It is. He still has that deep voice. I don't know if you ever watched that show Girls that he's on, but he has kind of a deep voice.
Yeah, but it's a different tone. Like I feel like when he has, like, even when he's talking to Vader's mask with his mask on, it's very monotone. He's like, I feel that he's like, help me, grandfather. But he says it like, he doesn't say it like a pleading person would. He says it like very monotone.
Yeah,
and that's the part that was creepy about him. And then, like, if you think about the movie all the way through, every time he has the mask on, he doesn't show any emotion. He doesn't have any emotion, right?
Yeah,
he believes he's like Vader, but even Vader showed some more emotion than he did. Which I think when he has the mask on, he has this like really great, this really great monotone creepiness to him, like he's soulless or something, or trying to be. But then when he takes the mask off, every time he takes the mask off, he's like a less pussy Tobey Maguire. When he takes the mask off, when he takes the Spider-Man mask off. So yeah, that was a good contrast right there. With the mask on, he's like this monotone villain. When he takes the mask off, he's like this lost young adult. Yeah,
I wonder when. I know we see Snoke like 2 or 3 times.
Oh my god, what a fucking fake out that was! I thought they jumped the shark.
By making him huge.
Yeah, because they said it beforehand. They said it leading up to the movie that I played this like 30-foot character, and I'm like, no, he's just fucking with us. There's no 30 feet. There's no like 30-foot humanoids in Star Wars now.
Yeah.
And then they show him, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, wait a minute, is this George Lucas doing this? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I thought that.
And then I'm like, oh my god, this is retarded. Then all of a sudden the hologram disappears. So I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, that really, that was a trickery, big time trickery. And I don't know about you, but I thought Snoke didn't, out of all the characters, especially all the CG characters and stuff, he looked fake. I didn't really like the way he looked.
Yeah, he looked like he belonged in Harry Potter.
Yeah, he looked like Voldemort's half brother, Moldemort.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He didn't look right. Yeah, he didn't look right. And I don't know if it's because, like,
maybe they
were trying to, there was a CG character through a hologram, like that. Maybe that's why it caused it to be fake, looking. But he didn't look like he belonged in Star Wars. He looked like he belonged in the prequels, like, the early like, CG characters. Like, it just didn't look right.
Well, was Maz Kanata, was she a CG completely, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that was really realistic. That was really realistic.
Yeah, she was really good. She's the actress that was in
Lupita.
Slave.
Yeah, and she's going to be the snake in Jungle Book. She's got a really awesome voice.
No, her voice, the Jungle Book voice, is Scarlett Johansson, actually.
Oh, is it the snake?
Yeah, it sounded like her. Yeah.
Well, Lupita plays a role in that movie. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I
can't remember.
The second time I watched it, it sounded like Scarlett Johansson.
Well, she's I mean, amazing voice actor. Crap. I mean, I really bought her character, but Snoke I didn't buy. I just didn't. I liked the voice. I know it was Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
But I just
it looked pretty bad. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's just. I don't know. I'm just hoping it's just a hologram thing, and maybe because I don't know if you remember, but like I'm just going back a little ways. When you watch Lord of the Rings, it's interesting how Gollum transitions in each movie, and like by Return of the King, he's just so realistic. It's crazy.
Well, here's the thing: like with Snoke, it looked like he was missing like half a jaw or whatever, right? But the rest of him was like bald.
Well, he's jacked up. Didn't they say he was jacked up? He was like,
Yeah,
some people are saying he's Darth Plagueis, which I don't believe that. I think he's just a new character. Well,
actually, I read something today that actually kind of might back that theory up.
Really?
Yeah, because something. Well, if you remember correctly in the prequels, and if we're using prequels as some kind of canon other than just being shitty movies,
canon, unfortunately,
it's Palpatine said that point blank that Plagueis, learned how to cheat death. So there's no real evidence other than what Palpatine says that he killed him. And
he hid out for 60 years, 70 years. He hid out.
Well, according to the novelization of The Force Awakens, that Snoke has been around for a very long time, even when the Emperor and the Empire was in power. He was working in the shadows, apparently, waiting for his time. So that doesn't mean he's Darth Plagueis, but, the fact that what you know about him is that Palpatine killed him, but he did say he was so powerful that he was able to cheat death. Well, now, in that story, Palpatine never says how he actually cheated death. He just said he was able to give life.
He didn't say how he killed him either. He just said...
He said he killed him in his sleep.
Yeah, okay.
So he probably, whatever. So...
Put a pillow over his head?
Yeah, I don't know. But it looks like he punched him in the jaw really hard or cut half his jaw, but who knows?
Yeah.
But my problem with that is that, like, with Snoke, it's like, why did you make him CG? Couldn't you green screen half of his face and blend it? The same thing like they did with like Two-Face in The Dark Knight. Like if that was it, why couldn't you make up half of his face and then CG the rest of it? It's like I've seen some of the behind the scenes stuff for Vision, and if you see how they do the Vision, like his makeup is really jacked up in when he's acting the part. It isn't until post-production that they basically give him, like, because I was blown away at the suit.
Oh, my God, I know. He looked amazing.
Like, how did they make that suit so fucking clean looking?
Yeah, he looked amazing.
And basically, if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff, he's literally wearing a suit that looks like a checkerboard.
Yeah.
And they CG everything, and even his makeup, looks so goddamn clean in the final version, but if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff, it looks like somebody, like, bought the shit from, like, Halloween City and just kinked it on his face.
Just stuck it on there.
Right. But they cleaned it up in post.
Yeah, it's
so, like, I don't understand why they couldn't do that with Snoke.
I don't know. I think, honestly, I think the timetable was so crazy. I mean, you remember it was supposed to come out 6 months ago, and they actually know about, what was it, May? So, like, 7 months ago or something like that, but they changed it because he's like, there's no way we can get it done in time. Maybe that's one of the things that was just rushed, but
I mean,
I just didn't buy it.
Or if he's a human, like, there's no reason to make him CG. Like, that seems like a George Lucas thing to do.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I mean, I just didn't buy him. I didn't buy it. Like, I remember when Hux like said something and he like stood up and yelled at him or something like that. I was like, oh my God, it looks like something out of like, Star Wars Rebels more than it does. Yeah,
it reminded me of something bad like Harry Potter. Like there was some bad CG in the earlier movies.
Yeah, there was. In the earlier ones, there was. Like in the first movie, that's what it reminded me of when he stuck on the back of that guy's head.
Yes,
that's what it reminded me of.
Yes, exactly. That's why I kept thinking of Harry Potter.
Well, it might be one of those things that hopefully they'll correct, but I don't know, man. I'm worried because a year and a half is not a lot of time for Star. I mean, usually they take like 3 years to make one of these things, and like, I guess they spent all that time writing the script and all that stuff while this one was being filmed. So.
Right, exactly. Like I think when they finished the script for this and started filming this, I think Rian Johnson had already working on the script and finalizing it, because basically it's almost one after the other. Right.
I think, Colin has all this time to make the last one really, really good, hopefully, because...
Yeah, since the script is finalized now, that guy already knows, like, where the jumping point off
where it's going to go, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So he's probably working on his version of the last script, and then... he'll begin filming probably 6 months after this movie, after the next movie gets released.
Yeah,
so.
That's the thing. Is like this movie was a tall order, but I'm thinking, oh no, like the next two are going to be even harder. Like where the heck they must have had it all planned out, like where they want it to go. But
I mean,
up to the directors.
Based on global take alone and all the stuff that's going on, like JJ set the bar really high. Like again, it's a movie that has its issues. There's no doubt, but because like they basically, I mean, it's making so much money. I mean, it's only Tuesday, and by the end of like the weekend, it could be close to $500 million already, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the global take could be $1 billion by this weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and they still have China to open up in January.
Oh, I know, and China's like their biggest,
the second biggest market other than the U.S.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, okay, so back to the movie. We have gotten to the part where we finished the vision. Now Ray is in. Ray takes off, is in the woods, and
BB-8 follows her. BB-8 follows her into the woods.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about BB-8 because, I mean, BB-8, like, I can't believe people were thinking, like, BB-8 would be, like, the Jar Jar of this movie, and I was like, holy, no fucking way. It wasn't even close. BB-8 ended up even being cooler than you could possibly think.
Yeah, I didn't think that droid had a lot of, like, they really kept it hidden that droid could do other things besides just roll around. Like, I didn't know it had a torch on it, an electrocutor thing. It had, like, those, it shut out those, when it was rolling all around the Millennium Falcon, it shut out the wires to, like, hold it steady. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty badass. I didn't,
Yeah, I think the biggest laugh in the theater was when Finn was trying to get him on board to lie, and Finn thumbs up, and then he stuck his like flamethrower thumb up.
That was cool.
I think that was CG'd. I think like all the gadgets that he had were CG'd because it blended with the real world. I think it like.
It was really well done. I mean, if it was practical effects, it was done fucking ridiculously good. But it'd be interesting to see when the Blu-ray comes out how much behind the scenes they're going to put on there, because I'm never usually interested in that stuff anymore. But like with this movie, Lord of the Rings, like really set the bar high for behind the scenes. So like I don't like watching a lot of behind the scenes anymore because theirs is amazing. But I'm hoping that the behind the scenes are going to be really like top to bottom, really cool. I'm really praying because I'm really interested in that stuff, not necessarily how things are made, but just like what the process was that they went through and how much was practical and how much was CG. But,
it's probably going to be the first Blu-ray I buy in like a decade.
Yeah, right. I haven't bought it in ages either.
But
So they run into the woods, and BB-8 follows her, and she's just like, "What do you?" Didn't she tell it like, you need to get out of here? You need to go.
You need to go back, and I'm going to run. I don't know where the hell she was going to run to.
I don't either. I think she was just trying to get away. Like,
I think she was trying to wrap her head around what the hell just happened.
Oh yeah, that's right. The vision.
And the First Order shows up, and then all hell breaks loose there.
Oh, I loved when. So a couple things. One, Finn battling the Stormtrooper. We'll talk about that right now. But like, I thought that was really cool because it did set up what happens later on. Because people were complaining about, how come Finn knows how to use a lightsaber? Well, I think they kind of like. I think a stormtrooper has hand-to-hand combat kind of training, and so like the first thing he does is like that one stormtrooper, which was totally badass, by the way. The stormtrooper like yells traitor at him and then like flips out his little electric baton and they kind of go at it. And you can see that Finn doesn't really know how to use that thing. He's just swinging, and there's not really any kind of like, I think you or I would have done the same things,
It's basically somebody who knows how to fight hand-to-hand combat or has been trained in the military and then picks up a sword.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, because you can't say like, how does he know how to use a lightsaber? That's
he gets his ass kicked. He gets his ass kicked, but he gets his ass kicked by that stormtrooper too. By the way,
I mean, it's no different than like if he picked up like a broomstick, like and ran around. It's just that a lightsaber would cut through basically everything. But that's basically all he had. That was the only weapon he had. As Mace said, like, I don't have a weapon. I was like, yes, you do. Use this.
Yeah,
because basically,
that was cool.
Yeah, because basically, I read too much into the line, but I was like, for her, it was like, well, you moron, this is a weapon too. You don't have to be a Jedi just to swing it around.
Right.
You don't have to be Luke Skywalker to use this lightsaber. Those guys are shooting at you. You have this weapon. You go and use it. I don't care.
What did Obi-Wan say? It was a weapon for a civilized weapon for a civilized age or something like that.
Yeah.
But I liked the battle. I liked the fact that he got his ass kicked, and then of course he got his ass saved
by Han and the bowcaster.
Oh man, that was really cool. I think a couple of times he grabbed the bowcaster and had his way with it. He's just like, I love this thing.
I feel like when they put that stuff in there, I think it's like those are like fans where it's like, like, and this is JJ being a fan, like, hey, I never really send this like thing get fired other than by Chewie, and nobody really pays attention to how powerful it is. Let's put that in the movie.
Yeah, I like that because he doesn't fire it very much in the old series. But also, I think you hit something there because I remember being 7 years old and when Han cut open the Tauntaun and put Luke in it. The fact that Han grabbed his lightsaber and turned it on blew my freaking mind. I was like, what? Was way, way, way cool. So,
and I was thinking the same thing with Finn. Like, I mean, at a certain point, I didn't believe Finn was force sensitive anymore.
Yeah.
And he turned on the lightsaber. I'm like, okay, so this is people who don't understand the ways of the Force or understand that the Force even exists, and basically you're telling somebody like, hey, if you're in a gunfight and this is the only weapon you have, well, then use it, moron. Like, you don't have to be, you don't have to be force sensitive to turn on a lightsaber. Just press the button.
Well, see, okay, that's true. Yes and no. I've read other. I mean, of course, I don't know if it's canon, but I've read places where they said you had to have the Force in order to turn on certain lightsabers that don't have a switch on it. Like they had to turn it on with the Force. But a lot of all the lightsabers I see on the movies, they just flick the switch and it goes. But like I remember reading, I don't know, a novelization or something like that where this guy picks up the lightsaber and it doesn't necessarily, like, they can't get it to work.
It's interesting because it's interesting that you say that because the first time I paid attention, the first time that Finn turns the lightsaber on, it looks like he presses the red button on the back, like he makes a conscious effort to press it.
Oh, I don't know.
And then fast forward to the end of the movie, he doesn't press anything.
He just picks it up and it goes. Yeah, right. I noticed, I think they do that for post, they do that whole, like, I'm pushing the button, and jerk the lightsaber a little bit. So the effects guy goes, okay, that's
right. But Finn didn't press the button at the end.
Oh, okay.
No, because I paid close attention because I was like,
watch it again.
When he turns it on, and I don't even remember what planet Maze is on, or Maz, but like the button is to the back.
Okay.
And he specifically puts his thumb there. And then at the end, it's still facing back, but he never moves his thumb there.
Huh.
But I don't think that's why. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that has anything to do with the Force. I think that's one of those, like, mistakes that happen,
Yeah. Yeah, shit that should not be.
Yeah.
but yeah, so like, and then the second thing was Rey, running into the forest and Ren following her, which is God, like you're right, when he has that mask on and he's just coming at you, it reminds me of Terminator 2. It just reminds me of, the T-1000 coming straight at you, and you're just like, fuck, what do I do?
Yeah, like no emotion whatsoever.
Oh, no emotion, just coming right at you. Like, I'm not stopping. And she's just firing at him left and right, and he's just blocking it like no big deal, and he's coming straight at her. And I was just, holy shit. And then they do that really weird camera thing where they speed up the image, like when he did the Force and her arm went behind her back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, they did some really interesting things with the Force. I've read...
Yeah, they like only sped up her thing, right?
Yeah, like I've
parts
read...
of her body that were being force pushed or held.
He did it with Poe, too. It's like some people I've read online have been just bitching about how they use the Force in this movie, and I am not on board with that. I am so on board with JJ trying all these different things.
Wait, what are they saying that's negative?
Saying like that's not the Force. That's not how you use the Force. Like that's not what you do, and so because that's never been done in any of the movies. Nobody, you either get force choked or you get lightsaber. Nobody like controls you with. Nobody lifts you up with the Force or does anything. You don't see any of that. But that doesn't mean they don't do it.
But in the prequels, like, you've seen objects being lifted up. Like, so why can't you lift? Like, you saw an X-wing lifted up in Empire Strikes Back. Why can't you lift up a person?
I don't know why they didn't stop bolts. That was one of the big. That was the first thing that made me like lose my breath. I just was breathless. I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I think that's what I said too. I was like, I think my exact words were, "Holy fuck."
Yeah, because you remember in Empire when they shot at Vader, he just put up his hand and it's like ping, ping, ping. It's just like basically almost like he put up a force field on his hand and the bolts just dissolved.
Well, I think that has to do with his robotic hands, but him being able to block it was using the Force.
Yeah, but this guy, he just stops the bolt in mid-air, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've never seen that before. That was bad.
And then he's powerful enough to actually have a conversation while that shit is still being held up.
Right. So
yeah, that was like badass moment number one.
He is powerful. He there's no doubt. And we'll get to the end, but he kidnaps her and takes her because he feels he doesn't need the droid anymore. He knows that she has the map in her head. And he cocky, again. He
overcompensates for his powers or abilities.
Yeah, he's just too cocky. And like,
little did he know.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, even we didn't really know. I was like, you don't really know.
Yeah, that was I'll get to that part later, but yeah. So then, here comes Poe's Black X-Wing, and you get to see for the first time. You actually get to see for the first time, regardless of what anybody else says, you actually get to see for the first time an actual badass pilot. Because what Anakin does in Episode 3 and what Luke does in the 2 movies as an X-Wing pilot and a snowspeeder pilot does not compare to what Poe did.
Yeah, it doesn't
in those 10 minutes.
The closest is Wedge, but he's a far second. I mean, this guy
is ridiculous.
Crazy good. He's crazy. Yeah. And they put their mouth where their money is. I mean, they said, even Ren says, I didn't know I have the best pilot in the Resistance here. This is cool, whatever he said. And they backed it up. They backed it up.
I mean, he shot down 5 or 6 TIE fighters in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and what's his name? Finn goes up and goes, "Damn, that's a hell of a pilot!" Not knowing it's Poe. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, but there were some really cool things that they did with an X-wing in that sequence that you never saw before.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So then, at that point, that's they retreat. Ren has Rey on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the Resistance shuttle shows up. Like, they fly away, and the Resistance shuttle shows up.
And then here comes Princess Leia, or General Organa.
Okay, so this was interesting. I remember watching Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, and when he first sees, what is her name? Karen Allen's character. He flips out and sees her and all that stuff. And it was kind of cheesy, the way the scene happened and all that. Like, it was this funny banter back and forth. But this was powerful. Like, when she walks off that thing and they stop and stare at each other, I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, there's a lot of history here. There's like some,
there's that little comedic section where C-3PO came in, which,
oh
was okay.
my God. Yeah. Cut the tension right there just by shoving his face in there, which, was funny. It got laughs and whatnot. And I thought it was kind of funny.
It's very typical. And I think it was a throwback to Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, totally. When they were
kissing,
Yeah.
And then I love the subtle things that he has done with Chewie. So, like, there's this, C-3PO cuts the tension. He's this comedic part of it. And then, Chewie comes up like a giant dog, has to give, Princess Leia a hug.
Yeah, that was cool.
They didn't really say anything to each other, but it was like kind of like this, like, missed you, like that hug.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment. It was a really, but you can tell, like, there's, sadness behind their eyes, and they haven't seen each other in a while, and like, and shit's gone down, and they, so what happened after that? Did they all fly back to the Resistance place? Yeah,
basically they go back to, and I haven't, the planets in this movie, they didn't really stand out. So other than Jakku, the only reason why I know Jakku is because they mentioned it like 3 or 4 times, and it's a video game. But so yeah, they go back, and then you cut to the ship where Warren is just sitting there waiting for her to wake up, and they go back and forth.
Oh yeah, he goes, "You're my guest," or whatever he says. Like, that was creepy. I was like, "Holy shit!"
Is that when she says that it's on a planet with water and an island, or did she say that beforehand?
No, I think he got that out of her. Like, I don't think she says anything. I think he goes up, puts his hand on her to get the information. And the first time he puts his hand up on her, she doesn't resist. She kind of is like, you could see it kind of, she goes, "Get out of my head." And then all of a sudden she pushes back, but he says he sees an island in the ocean, and I can't remember what he says after that, but then she says, "Get out of my head." And then he he's like, "I know you have the information." He goes deeper, and then she just like starts, like, she's wincing, like it's hurting. And then all of a sudden her eyes get totally focused and serious and stares back at him and does this thing of, like, it totally reminded me of Harry Potter 5 when, Snape is helping Harry be in oculancy to try to keep Voldemort out of his brain, and he's getting tired of it, and he goes, "Expelliarmus," as soon as, like, Snape says, oculant or whatever, and, like, Harry goes into his head and sees his childhood and all that.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, because Ren, he does the Force thing on her, and she pushes back, and she, like, sees something in his head and repeats something back out, and it pisses him off. He's like, "Oh fuck," and he kind of, like,
she says,
scares him.
She said, you're afraid that you'll never be as powerful as Darth Vader," or something like that.
Yeah, and he, like, looks at her like, "Oh shit," and he, like, that's what makes him, like, leave the room.
Yeah, and then he goes to talk to Snoke, like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. And that's where, this is the other cool part of the movie. I thought I got really jazzed. Like, a lot of the things that happen are actually kind of predictable, but but you're still kind of excited, like, "Oh, it's coming. This is coming," because she starts figuring out she's got powers, and, like, that's when she tells the stormtrooper to come and take her out of the restraints. Who was the stormtrooper again? I know it was someone famous. Oh, Daniel Craig, James Bond. That's right.
You know what his call number was, and I don't know if they say it in the movie.
No.
His phone number in the movie is JB007.
Nice.
I don't think they say it in the movie, but that's officially what his call number was.
Great. So, they're going to come out with a figure where you can take your helmet off, and it's James Bond.
Yeah, he's got with a little martini glass. Yeah,
exactly. Right. Very cool scene where she tells him, and he comes up to her and says, "I'm going to tighten the restraints even worse, bitch. I'm going to make it hurt." And then and she convinces him. And then, like, as he's leaving, she says, "Drop your weapon."
Yeah, and he drops it and just repeats it like an idiot. Like, it's just great.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. We never talked about how early in the movie, I mean, that, you know, Ren has like that fit when he can't. When they
oh my god!
Droid.
Fuck yeah! When he couldn't find the droid, in the beginning he just goes ape shit on the control panel.
Yeah, well,
control panel while that guy is like, you know,
he's standing there ready to piss his pants.
Right, and then he all of a sudden tells him it's a girl, and then he pulls him in and chokes him with his hand.
Yeah, I love that.
I loved the fact that he took his lightsaber out and just went apeshit on something. Yeah. And then absolutely love the fact when after she escapes, he goes apeshit again, and then here comes these two stormtroopers that see the shit going on.
Come out of here.
And they just, they're like, oh, fuck, let's just turn back around. I don't want to deal with this. Let's go.
Yeah, this isn't part of my job, is having a tantrum again.
Yeah, those are some good scenes right there.
He goes back to Snoke after that, too, and like...
with his mask off.
Yes, and then that's when General Hux says, you know, forget this bullshit. Let's fire up the weapon.
Yeah, that's when he blames Ren for that stuff.
Yeah. He's just like, look, that wasn't my idea, man. Like, we were ready to roll, grab that fucking robot, and he takes this bitch, and it didn't work out. So let's do my thing. Let's get this weapon rolling. It's ready to go. Let's you know, blow some shit up.
Now, I think that's at the point where they fire the weapon for the first time, right?
Yeah, they do. Okay.
Hux has that huge speech.
Here's the question I have for you, and that was actually a really cool visual of Ren up in the ship when the flare goes by or when the weapon's being fired. But like, Okay, so what fucking planets do they blow up?
Okay, so the only reason why I know this is because I read up on the stuff.
Okay.
So the planet
one looked like Coruscant. I don't know if that.
I thought it was, but it wasn't.
Okay, go ahead.
So what's happening is after the Republic, the new Republic is formed. To bring order or some kind of continuity to the galaxy in the Republic, every so often they switch where the main like
base is,
like capital is, where the main capital is. Okay. So that planet that they blew up was its turn. It was their planet's turn to hold the capital, kind of, sort of say, something like that.
They blew up 4 planets, though.
Yeah, but those were the moons.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't like... So the main planet was blown up, and then all the moons to the side of it or whatever were blown up.
And how okay, so the base basically siphons the power or the juice out of a sun, and then or out of a star.
This is definitely not Star Trek, because that would never fucking happen.
Right.
Because in real life, if you actually did that, you would basically cause a black hole, and then the Starkiller base would be destroyed. Right. But then again, doesn't really matter. This is Star Wars. There's sound in space.
So there's explosions in space.
Right.
So
fire.
So they basically siphon the juice out of a star, and then they use that to fire out. And
hence the name Starkiller Base. But it's actually a call out to the original name of Luke Skywalker.
Right. So here's the other bugaboo that I have, is that the same thing that happened in New Hope. When they fired up that weapon for the first time, it took them 10 seconds, and they blew away Alderaan, no problem. And then in this movie, they fired up and fucking blow away 4 planets, moons, whatever, at the same time. But then when they get to the end, it takes them fucking forever to get, the weapon fired up and get it ready to go to blow up the base. And in New Hope,
there's things that are missing in that, of what you just said. In A New Hope, the reason why they didn't blow up Yavin base right away is because the planet was still in the way of the base. So they actually had to orbit the planet first.
To me that felt cheesy. I always felt like, why don't they blow up that planet in front of them and then blow up Yavin after it? Why don't they
Well, yeah, they probably could have done that. And then but there's a better explanation for the Starkiller base, because when they blew up that when they blew up those planets, the very first time that they fired the weapon, the Starkiller base had already sighted a star that you don't see on camera.
Okay.
So because they blew up the planets there, they had to recharge the main weapon basically.
All right.
So that's why it took forever for them to fire the weapon again, because basically they would fire nothing. They would have fired a blank. So that's why in this version.
Okay, we'll get to Starkiller Base in a little bit because I've got beefs with that place.
Well,
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then they're like, all right, we, didn't Finn say something about we need to...
he goes to Poe and it says, I need your help. I need to go get Rey.
Right.
And then, Princess Leia or General Leia is like, I need all the information you can give us so that you can help us here. And I think at that point, that's probably when the weapon fired. No, the weapon fired before that.
Right.
And then he gives them all his layout information, holding back the fact that he was actually originally a,
sanitation worker, yeah.
Yeah, which I'm interested to know if JJ actually knew that Kevin Smith used something similar like that
in
Clerks, because those two are pretty close.
Yeah.
So I want to know point blank if JJ threw that in as an homage to his friend Kevin
Which
Smith.
would be awesome. Everybody starts at the bottom, and then Finn became a stormtrooper, and he just happened to be on Jakku for his first mission.
Yeah, I know, but it works as a joke.
Yeah.
And it's a really good joke in the movie, but if it's an actual call out to Clerks,
that's
fucking badass.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Easter eggs, but you're right. That would be a really cool. Because
apparently there's a ton of Easter eggs in the escape of Jakku too. JJ said, like when somebody was interviewing him recently and asked him about Easter eggs, because he loves to putting Easter eggs in his movies and stuff. He said that the one scene I could say to look out for a lot of Easter eggs is the escape from Jakku with the Millennium Falcon. And I'm looking back, and during that entire sequence, I don't recall really any Easter eggs in that scene.
Is it escaping? In other words, when they jump on the Falcon and they're flying around?
Yeah. I don't remember any because I was basically just in awe of the Falcon flying.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet flying through. I like how it blew up the TIE fighter and it landed in the sand and all these scavengers came out of nowhere and started picking at it.
Dude, how about the badass scene where she fucking turned the engines off?
Yeah, and
she shut the fucking engines off so that he could get a clean shot and then fired them back on.
That's pretty sick. They did some stuff with the Falcon that they've never done before at all.
Yeah, it's basically they did the perfect old but new shit. Oh fuck, I didn't know the Falcon could do that.
Yeah. They did a lot of that stuff, especially with the Force. They just did a lot of really cool stuff.
Well, everything makes sense. Just because you've never seen it before doesn't mean
it can't happen. Well, if you think about the original trilogy, it's only Luke and Vader. as anyone with the Force, there's nobody else.
Special effects that you couldn't.
Yeah, there's that too. There's that too. But now that all that stuff is plausible, it's like total fan service. You could totally tell that he wants the movie for the fan, but he's the hugest fan too. So he's I've always wanted to see this happen.
Right.
And and as long as the story is good, he can do all that kind of shit that he wants. It's I don't care. It's in the prequels, it's let me show you my digital dick, big cock, what we can do, but it just did not service the story at all.
Yeah, the thing with somebody else holding a lightsaber, the thing with actually using it, Finn does, the whole thing with the bowcaster, all those stuff are things that people talk about as fans,
all the time.
And the Force stuff too, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not basically JJ was man, I wonder what it's like if you were that strong in the Force, could you stop a blaster bolt? Not sit there and think, hey, if I was having dinner, I would force push a pear across the table.
Obi-Wan would be really mad at me if I did this. I'm like, why?
Right.
Why?
He would be really grumpy. I'm like, what are you, from fucking Sesame Street? Who said that?
Yeah, it's just like Harry Potter. Like he did some magic in the real world, and they got pissed at him. I'm just like, really? Like, really? You know, I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, like, you can't use the Force to give somebody a pear? Like, what else am I going to use the Force for when I'm sitting at home by myself?
I'm doing nothing. I'm changing channels with the Force.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, fuck, I left my drink in the kitchen.
Yep. Don't bother getting me a beer. I'll get it myself.
Yeah. I don't need a can opener. Just whatever. It's faster this way.
Yeah. All right. So he gives them all the information, and wasn't it Han says, I'll find a way in there, and Leia's like, I don't like when you, or like,
yeah, he's like, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, you're not going to like it. Which, okay, so that was another thing. The whole hyperspace through the shield thing.
Oh, right.
I've never seen that before, because in every single movie there's shields, and they always they have to blow it up before they go. Yeah. So that was basically
that was a surprise, but also it was the same thing as to where actually they did have to blow the shields up, because remember, the X-Wings could not get through. So basically that was Jedi. So basically Han is on the ground again, having to destroy the force field to the base. There was nods to all three original trilogy movies. There's so that's Jedi right there.
Down to Hoth, down to the ice planet, down to the tree planet, down to the desert planet. They touched all three.
Which is ironic, because he was supposed to die in the Battle of Endor.
Right.
And then the big reveal the big event that happens in The Force Awakens.
Yes.
So,
which I can't say that I'm surprised. I knew that somebody.
There was basically nothing surprising about this movie, which is another thing. I don't have to be M. Night Shyamalan. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want to figure things out 30 minutes into the movie or 20 minutes before the shit happens. But the second Leia said to Han, you need to bring our son back, and it pans out, and Han has this sad face, basically, he was the guy in the horror movie that said, I'll be back. And you're like, pretty much. Fuck, he's dead. Or he's the red shirt engineer on Star Trek. Right there, when he said that, I was like, he's done.
But here's the thing. I agree with that. But here's the rub. As soon as he walked out on that catwalk, my heart just dropped. I was chewing my fingernails. I was sweating balls. I just got really emotional. I was like,
even though you knew it was coming, you're like, oh, please let me be wrong, Yeah. Because, it's fucking Han Solo, and the ongoing joke is, and the ongoing story is, Harrison Ford wanted Han dead in Jedi.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden JJ's like, well, I can do it.
Hey, I can think of 50 million reasons why it was a good idea to not get killed. Did you hear it? Today, the big story was how much he got paid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, it was like Jedi. I remember they had to go in there, they had to set the charges, and I think one of the beefs that I read somewhere was that Chewbacca never leaves his side, which isn't true. They've been apart a few times.
Yeah, especially on Endor, they've been apart.
Yeah,
Endor. They were definitely apart on Hoth
and on Hoth. Yeah, when he goes off for
Chewie just let him go out and fucking freezing cold. I think he had a life debt. Follow him.
Yeah, so people had to be. I'm just like, no, he told him to go up there and set the charges while he sets the charges below, and they'll meet back up there and go. But when he saw his son, But it was actually Han. It was actually Chewie that said they should split up. Oh, was it? He goes, he goes, good idea. He goes, good idea. I'll go this way.
So maybe that's the problem people had. But
maybe.
But then again, at the same time, even if you have a life debt with somebody and you're trying to blow up this thing so that the people that are outside, that the people that are the friends that you have, like Princess Leia on that planet, die, the best way to blow that thing up is to do it separately, not do it together.
Right.
You know, like that's beyond.
Well, but you know what though? By that logic, Chewie would have said, "Han, go back to the Falcon. I'll take care of it." You know, if he's really
I think if you wanted to nitpick that part, you could say like the second, you know, you see Kylo Ren on the walkway and Han goes out to him, Chewie should have been quietly trying to run or get a clean shot.
Something, or go back.
Because basically everybody just stood there and watched this whole fucking thing happen.
Yeah,
like everybody watched, and I was so caught up in the emotional aspect. Like, I'm going to watch Han Solo die in a movie that like I wouldn't like say like, well, can somebody like take a secret shot or something? Well, or like at the same time, I was thinking, okay, if they take the shot, maybe you're just dooming Han to death right there. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where they were looking and they were just in awe. But like, if it were me, as soon as he stepped foot on that catwalk, I would have yelled out, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, get away from him," or something. You know, like Han, you know, just yell or whatever. But they just kind of, I don't know. I guess for dramatic effect.
Well, I think everybody also stopped in their fucking tracks when he yelled out Ben.
Oh my God, that was heartbreaking, man.
When he yelled out Ben, I was like, oh fuck, he called him Ben.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I was like, oh man, fucking the original trilogy right there. Because Ben has never been said again other than in A New Hope. It's never mentioned again.
That's right.
Oh, actually, sorry, it's Luke Skywalker says it in Empire Strikes Back when he's calling out Ben.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because in Return of the Jedi, he goes, Obi-Wan, when he pops up in Big.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was pretty sick. Isn't in the expanded universe all the kids are named after, you know, the... I think there's a Ben, there's an Anakin.
Jason, there's Jason,
Jason, Anakin, and Ben.
Right.
But I don't know who has who. I can't remember.
Han and Leia have the twins, and they have another one that I think they named Anakin.
Okay, so Ben was the name of Luke's kid then.
Probably, I'm not too sure.
With Mara Jade. Well, it doesn't matter. They don't do any expanded universe shit, but I kind of liked I liked that he called him Ben. I thought that was really cool. And but that whole scene, I mean, I knew, even though you know it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I like. Some people didn't understand it, but I like the logic behind why he killed him. Because
wait, are you talking about AJ or are you talking about Kylo Ren?
I'm both. I just liked that they came up with that, because in the past, especially not the original trilogy, the prequels, which is funny to say that because now the original trilogy is prequels. But anyway, but the prequel, the shitty movies, they did a really shitty job of explaining, like, okay, so basically Anakin became Darth Vader because he wanted to save his girlfriend or whatever, which is pretty, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's a pretty crappy logic behind that. It didn't really hold.
I think it's only crappy because you never bought their romance.
Well, that too. I never
because
bought it.
As shitty as a movie as Amazing Spider-Man 2, when Gwen died and you knew she was going to die, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When Padme dies, it's like, what the fuck ever.
Yeah. Oh, she died of a heartbreak or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Well, they don't know. They don't know, remember?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like, it gave up the will to live.
That's so... that's like, you know, it's the whole midi-chlorian thing all over again. It's like, why? Why do you need to even say anything, explaining? Just have her die in childbirth, for God's sake. Give her a decent death or something. I don't know. Like, having to explain shit bothers me sometimes. If you don't have a good explanation, it bothers me. But this made sense. Like, when he says to his father, please, like, I don't know what to do. Or I know what to do, but I don't think I can do it. I instantly thought to myself, holy shit, he's talking about killing his father, not I need to go home with you or get away from the snow.
Yeah.
It was I need to kill you in order to fully go to the dark side.
Yeah, I got that too.
And it was fucking heartbreaking, but it was like, okay, that's awesome storytelling. Like, okay.
But Han inadvertently, Han, without knowing what he means, says that he would help him. He would do whatever he wants.
Oh.
So Han thinks that he wants to come back to the light side.
Yes, that's so heartbreaking.
Not knowing that Kylo Ren is actually saying, like, no, I want you to help me kill you.
Yeah, and he get, oh God, by saying that, what happens at the same time is the sun gets blotted out and it gets real dark
that
in
was
there.
a beautiful that was a beautiful part, because like the light basically of the sun gives you the hope that he's actually going to turn.
Yeah, and then
as the sun turns black to red, that's when the hand starts shaking because Han's trying to grab the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, Han knows that he's fucked.
Yeah, it's genius. God, that scene is so genius. It was
filmed really great.
Yeah, like so even though it was coming, it kind of reminded me, I mean, not reminding me, but it's what I wanted out of Dumbledore's death in Harry Potter, kind of going off track here. But like, it's what I wanted. I wanted that holy shit moment, because like in the book you're crying, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this, whatever. In the movie I was like, I don't give a fuck, like this isn't the way they were supposed to do it.
It actually meant something the way, and even though you never get to see the relationship off, because it's off camera, because Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher have that camaraderie from before. Like, they kind of pull off, like, the heartbreak that they both have.
Yeah.
Losing, their son.
Yeah,
and not to mention their iconic figures, like Han and Leia have a son together that they lost to the dark side.
Yeah, let's go back to that for a second, because we kind of missed that. But, like, when they were at the base and before they parted ways, they started talking about...
Or Han says, I saw her son.
Yeah, I saw her son, and they have that really cool exchange, and it kind of...
And Leia gives the backstory of what happened.
Yes, and then it's like, oh, okay.
So I saw it the second time, and did you hear, or am I misinterpreting, that Luke tried to build another Jedi Academy, and Ren kind of ruined it, or did Ren kill all the other Jedi, or potential Jedi?
Okay, what I gathered from it, I think you're right on both accounts. What I got from it is that he started up a Jedi Academy, and he was the only teacher, and this is why Yoda says there can only be two. Because when you have too many people in the frying pan,
that's for the Sith.
Yeah, but, it's not like that in the Jedi either. But see, you have an apprentice and a master.
No, it's not. It's not the same as for the Jedi.
Okay, all right. Well, backtrack then. Okay, so then they explain that Luke is starting up a Jedi Academy, and he's got all these hopefuls or whatever. And Ben was exhibiting Vader-like qualities, and he also is very powerful. So what they thought they should do is send him to Luke, which she says was a mistake, because she sent him away versus trying to like nurture him and all that. She's just like, I can't deal with you. You need to go with Luke. So by separating him from his mom or from his parents, he went with Luke and started exhibiting these problems. And then, of course, Snoke noticed these things, these qualities, which this is where I don't understand, is how did Snoke get involved with Ren, and at what point? Like, did he just wander off one day and run into Snoke?
Well, I think that's one of those things where it will be explained later.
Okay, because Chancellor Palpatine running around, that made sense, but this Snoke character just showing up and controlling Ren doesn't make sense. But he ends up killing all the Jedi, and then he's like the last one standing, and Luke
Luke
runs away.
Did have other Jedi people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the flashbacks that Rey has. All those bodies laying around have to be Jedi. I bet you anything he showed up and just murdered everybody, you know, and then Luke, out of grief, took off. And I think, or maybe you mentioned earlier, I don't remember, I think he goes back to that temple because it's the first temple or ancient temple, a really powerful temple, goes back there to defend it, not to go in hiding.
Yeah, I think I did read something like that too.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't him going into hiding, per se. It was him trying to make sure that none of the dark side reaches the Jedi Temple to become more powerful.
Right, because then they're fucked for good, kind of thing. They'll never. So as long as Luke is alive, there's hope. But now you have Rey, who's like a ray of hope. Oh, pun intended.
Did you pick up on the fact that Rey and Ren's names are just one letter apart?
Yeah, because Kylo is kind of like, It's almost like they took Skywalker and Solo and shoved it together. Almost.
I didn't think about that.
And Rey, we'll get to like Rey's. I kind of have an idea of who Rey is, but
yeah, me too.
I'm just kind of guessing, but
which everybody thinks, but
yeah. Which if it happens, cool, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. It's like one of those.
But then you have to. But then it's the same thing. Like you have to explain, like, well, okay, well, who did Luke get with? Because the extended universe doesn't count anymore, so there's no Mara Jade.
No. God, if they threw Mara Jade in, people would just go ape shit crazy.
Yeah, but I would rather, if they're going to say that the expanded universe doesn't exist, then make it not exist.
Right.
Don't name her Mara Jade.
Right.
Don't name her Mara Jade. Name her something completely different where it's an homage to something else, or just come up with an entirely different name altogether. Yeah. Because you can't say, like, the extended universe doesn't exist, and then you use, like, one of the biggest characters from the extended universe. Yeah, that's true. Because then, like, now you open the floodgates for, like, oh, shit, are you going to do Admiral Thrawn? So you can't do that.
Which, honestly, would have been so badass if they did that.